Hello, and welcome to this segment of the Women in 3D Printing NextGen AMA Career Interviews. My name is Sanjana Narayanan, and I'll be your host. In this series, I'll be introducing you to some of the most accomplished and inspiring women in additive manufacturing, so you can learn about what it takes to build a career in the industry. Any successful shop has a supervisor that is highly skilled in the shop's tools and machinery. But have you ever wondered about what it takes to get to such a position? In today's interview, we'll be hearing from Emily Coker, the shop supervisor overseeing the wood and metal shop at the Autodesk Technology Center in San Francisco. Stay tuned to hear about Emily's experiences in additive manufacturing. Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. Let's dive right in. So to start off, can you tell us about how you were first introduced to 3D printing?
Yes, I can. It was about, I think, 2012 when I was working at Tech Shop in San Francisco. And I was on staff, so we were able to take classes for free. And one of the classes was 3D printing and modeling, an introduction. We were using the MakerBot Rep 1 at the time. And it was, very different world back then. It wasn't sophisticated as it is today. The printers were made out of laser cut, just laser cut material and then put together. But it was really great. So that's how I started. I went to the class, learned what I could, started to do prints. Sadly, the resolution wasn't that great at the time. But that was my first introduction. And then I've just watched it explode since then.
That's amazing to hear. And I know your current position is at Autodesk Technology Center in San Francisco. So how did you arrive at that position?
Oh man, that's a long time coming. Well, I have worked all over the board. So as I mentioned before, I started at Tech Shop San Francisco. And I was working there, which inspired me in the maker movement. And after my time at Tech Shop, I moved over to Make Magazine, working in their maker shed as a person doing direct-to-consumer sales on their product lines, as well as customer service on technical issues. And from there, I moved over to working on the editorial team and manage their lab. So I got a lot of hands-on experience with 3D printers and in just different projects in a shop. From there, I moved to Google X, where I worked as a shop technician, and I was a backup for their 3D printing lab. Then from there, I moved to Xerox Parc, an old historic R&D facility and technology. Worked there for a couple of years, and then I've always had a dream to work at Autodesk, and I applied, finding that they had an opening in their shop, and I went for it. So literally, to answer your question, it took a lot of different roles and experiences to make up, what I can do now in a shop.
That's amazing. And you've clearly been really involved in the field of 3D printing. So could you tell us about some of the different industries you've been involved with and how you've used 3D printing in these industries?
Right. Yeah. So as mentioned before, I worked, with novice 3D printers, people coming in that just wanted to start working on it and figuring it out how to do it. So I went from the maker market and novice movement all the way up to research and development into high technology like Google X and Parc. So working, on any project, mainly doing prints for first iteration prototypes. But so I've been kind of all over. I've also seen the application used in science and medical field. It's really fascinating.
That's great. And what about 3D printing do you find most exciting?
Well, I am super nerdy, and anytime I get asked about 3D printing, I always default to my love of medical applications with 3D printing. I love, long time ago, I worked in the biotech industry as well. And I love the idea of biomaterials being used in applications to help people. So life-saving procedures, things that we could print with biomaterial, and bionics. I think there's a huge market in bionics that is just amazing. So printing out, limbs for amputees and things that help, even therapy, as in like cooling casts and things like that. I think it's so interesting and fascinating.
I couldn't agree more. I'm also very passionate about 3D printing in the medical field, so I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I'm really interested in hearing about some of your favorite 3D printing projects. So could you tell us about a few of them?
Well, I can't go into a lot of detail, but I can talk about some things that I've seen and sort of worked on. Considering the work in my past like 4 to 5 years, I've worked with people that are extremely secretive about intellectual property as well as government projects. But the most excited I've been is working on testing parts for aerospace engineering and ocean applications. So doing a lot of testing on the rigidity and repeatability of these parts, as also testing how well they set up and hold up to UV environments and different environmental chambers. So,
That's awesome. And to end our interview, I did want to ask, what advice do you have for a student that's interested in pursuing a career like yours?
well, I would say we have everything at our fingertips right now to learn what we want to learn. And I would go beyond your traditional education and dive deep into figuring it out. Like if you're interested in learning one certain software, go for it. Dive deep, get involved, mentor other people, get mentored, and just really be somebody that's out there in the field. I mean, you really have to make it so you want to be there. But I know you can do it because I did it. So that's my biggest advice is just get involved and follow your passions. It is extremely contagious when people see that you're passionate about something.
That's amazing advice. And this concludes our interview. Emily, I want to thank you one more time for joining us and sharing your amazing career journey with 3D printing.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for tuning in for our interview with Emily. For more information about women in 3D printing, be sure to visit our website. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button below. We hope to see you for our next segment.